What is up, my beautiful gems? So as most of you know, if you can't see my face in a reading that I'm doing, I do this sometimes in the personal ones too. If it's really early in the morning or really late at night, it just means I do not have my face on. So no big deal. You guys don't have to see me in order to get the message. So this week, the universe compelled me to use the Faerytale Oracle. I've been working a lot with this deck, and yeah, some really good messages coming through for people and really being spot on. And I just love the artwork of this deck. It's by Lucy Cavendish, the artwork by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. And I have a lot of decks from these two. I wanted to use my Oracle of the Divine Circus, my new deck, but unfortunately it got sent to Blue Heron's house by accident. So she sent it to me and I'll have it on Monday. So just in time for Wednesday's stream. And thank you for doing that for me, girl. Here is my pure obsidian crystal ball that I got from Lotus Girl, and I have an entire box of really awesome stuff that Sweetly Morbid Bear sent me, plus my gifts from everyone else, Edgar DeLeon, Arlene F. A lot of it is in my office, Rose Tyler Badwolf, and anyone else. I can't think off the top of my head. I just want to thank everyone for your generosity lately. And even, you know, not even just the gifts, just being there for me in general. So now with all that being said, I am calling on spirits, guardian angels, guardians, spirit guides, any otherworldly attachments like fairies, extraterrestrials, starseeds, earth angels, anything like that. The shapeshifters are spirit animals, our spirits, our animal guardians, I mean, the universe, the cosmos, your future self. We are calling for it all, everything with love, light, and peace. This is for the week of October 18th, 2021 through October 24th, 2021. And I think these are going to be some good long readings this week. So, yeah, what I'm going to do is lay out 3 cards. Card number 1, 2, and 3. If you need to pause the video to pick one, and then I will turn each card over, give you what the book says, and then give you what I'm getting intuitively. So, sorry about that, guys. I had a little intrusion. So, I'm going to read to you what the book says for each card, and then I will give you what I'm getting intuitively, and we'll go from there. Sometimes the message from Spirit will be a lot different from the message from the book, and, you know, I can pull the same card for 5 people and get a completely different message every time. So, now that all of that's understood, let's see what the universe has for you guys. And for those of you who don't feel a connection to any of the first 3 cards I put down, feel free to wait because I'm going to pull a 4th one for all of you procrastinators who are like me out there. All right, let's do this. I promise a better setup in future. So this is card number 1, card number 2, and card number 3. If you need to pause and take a minute, go ahead and do that, and I'm going to get started. So, card number 1, we have Dawn the Golden-Haired, Duty. And that is card number 40. Dawn the Golden-Haired. She set him free with her own hands. Then she placed a gold crown on his head and a royal cloak on his shoulders. Come, she said, I make you my king. A young princess had hair the color of the sun at first light, and she wore it about her as a cloak to both hide within and feel safe behind. She was so lovely she was named Dawn, and all who beheld her gave away a piece of their heart to her. A great king who beheld her fell so deeply in love, he went to her father and to her mother to ask for her hand. But they said it was Dawn's decision to make, and she loved her home well and wished only to belong to herself. And the king went away and chose a bright and good young man to plead his case, for the king was too busy with the matters of state to conduct a romance. So the young man went away, and although he was fine to gaze upon, and well-made and strong, canny and fine, he was humbled at the trust his king had given him. As he thought of how he could win this princess for his king, he took to the woods where he always felt most at peace. He passed a small lake and saw a fish out of the water, choking on the air, wriggling desperately toward the water. He gently picked it up and gave it back to the waters, and the fish leapt high in the silver waters, thanking him, promising him a good deed when he had need. The young man smiled, for how could a fish help him win the hand of Dawn the golden-haired? A little later he saw a crow being hunted by an eagle, and he climbed high and chased off the eagle, feeling that for this day he could be sure the humble did as well as the mighty. And the crow thanked him too, and promised him a reward when the time came. And the young man smiled, a crow to come to his aid. Then he came upon an owl caught within a net left by humans, and he delicately freed the owl, not wishing to damage it in any way. And the owl gazed at him, sleepy and weary after a long night's struggle, and promised her favor when the time came. At last he knew what he would do to gain the favor of the princess for his king. He found her 2 playful puppies and headed for the castle. Dawn readied herself again, knowing that she would marry none. For unbeknownst to the young man, a huge ogre who lived nearby had sworn to make Dawn his own, and she knew if she married another, it would bring death upon that man and upon all her kingdom. But when he came to her with the fine, playful little dogs and the kindness shining from his eyes, she felt herself falling in love, and told him of her need. But he said her hand was intended for his king, and he was merely his messenger, and he insisted that he must try to win her hand. So she sighed and gave him her first quest, to find a lost ring which had fallen from her slender fingers as she swam. And, to his surprise, the fish he had saved brought him the ring. But she still did not wish to marry this young man's king, for she was falling in love with his messenger. So a second quest was given, that the giant with a yen for her must be thwarted, destroyed, so she and her kingdom could be free. The young man left, and as he approached the giant's abode, made of the skeletons of former adversaries, his friend the crow dove from the skies and plucked out the eyes of the giant. The ogre fell to the ground, writhing in pain, and the young man unsheathed his sword and took his head. This was not enough, for Dawn had fallen so deeply in love with the young man before her, she wished only to send him on his way, so she would not be reminded of what she could never have. But he succeeded in the third task too, with the help of the wise owl he rescued, and so she married the king, who then threw the loyal young man into prison, as he could see how Dawn adored him, and finally, due to his own jealousy, he passed away. Dawn was finally able to marry the man she adored, set herself free, and keep her kingdom free too. The story is about a love that seems thwarted, but which does eventually come to be. So this is a card of hope. It is a card of duty, reluctantly but honorably done. And it is a card about happily ever after, as Dawn and her true love lived, along with their 2 little dogs, of course. The messages are: power brings responsibility, duty has rewards, patience, all will be well in the end. A time of recognition and success is coming. True love finds its time. Your good turns will now be rewarded. So, this week, for October 18th through October 24th, something is going to either come completely to fruition for you or start to come to fruition. Something you've been working for really, really hard. I don't like to do love readings, but I'm going to give a little bit of a love reading after I explain everything else. If you've been working hard towards something and really diligently, say you want to learn to play the piano and you've been diligently practicing, this week you'll play the sheet music you've never played before. I know that's a dumb example, but that's what the universe is giving me. So you're going to accomplish something this week that you've been really, really trying to accomplish. I'm also getting from Spirit that somebody is going to be trying to connect with you that you haven't heard from in a while. Again, the messages come in. They may have nothing to do with what the book says. So we see this girl here, and the universe is telling us, look how sad she looks. If you're feeling hopeless or like something's never going to happen for you, know that whether you know it or not, whether you see it or not, this week is the start of you finally getting yours back. And it's going to be total abundance, blessing after blessing after blessing this week, if you stay patient. Also, beware of coveting, of wanting something that you can't have. It doesn't always turn out like she ended up with the young man. It doesn't always turn out that way. If there's something you want that you feel you can't have, guess what? I mean, unless it's someone's husband or wife, right? Let's be real. You probably can have it if you work hard enough. And the universe is telling you this week, again, just like last week, some of you got to start taking those baby steps toward achieving your goal. A lot of you should have started that last week if you go by the messages of the cards that I'm reading for you. So continue on. Slow and steady wins the race. As far as love is concerned, a lot of you may be feeling like you're giving too much in a relationship and the other person isn't giving a lot at all or anything at all. And you may be feeling exasperated and overwhelmed and starting to get impatient. The universe is saying, just do you. For this week, I'm not saying, and the universe is not saying, neglect your responsibilities. But how about this week? For just this week, only take care of what you absolutely are obligated to do. If you feel that's what the other person's doing, or if they're doing even less, only do what you're absolutely obligated to. If you're a wife and mother or a husband and father, only do your absolute, necessary duties for your partner if you feel they're not giving you the same in return. Okay, this also goes for business partnerships, friendships. It's time for you to start getting as good as you give, getting as much as you give. And this week, if you feel you're not getting that, it's time to speak up and start doing something about it. The universe has got your back. Remember, the 18th is the last day of the retrograde. Depending on where you live, it could have been the 17th, tomorrow. So the 18th, last day of the retrograde, we are still in the shadow phase, but it's time to start coming out of that retrograde kind of backwards motion. Okay, step into your power this week, male or female, it doesn't matter. There's no gender assigned to the cards, just like in tarot. All right, you deserve to get back more than what you give, because I'm sure you're giving more than you feel you absolutely must. You know, when you love someone, you want to do everything. If someone's not treating you with respect and dignity, try that this week. And that's not my advice. That's coming from the universe. Those of you who picked card number 2 got the Princess Who Never Smiled. Card number 31, and the message is healing. What a life she had, what freedom, what luxury. She had much of everything, everything that her heart could desire, but she never ever smiled. She never laughed. It was as if her heart had never taken any joy in anything at all. A beautiful princess would seem to have the entire world at her feet. She has good health, riches, beauty, and intelligence. But she is also exquisitely sensitive to the pain of the world, and thus she has never smiled. She is serious and cannot smile while so many are in pain. As it usually goes, her loving father was moved and haunted by her inability to feel joy, and so he promised that whoever could make his daughter laugh would have great rewards, would even be given her hand in marriage. So many men flocked to the castle to make the little Tsarina laugh, but none succeeded, for she saw through their antics and knew that in their hearts they were valuing her for what she could give them, and thinking nothing of how they could help her and thus others. Outside the castle's walls, a young blacksmith was apprenticed and slaving over the bellows, wiping sweat from his brow and learning his trade. He was honest and good and thickly muscled, and knew in time, if he could master the fire and the water and smelting of metal, his life would be worthwhile, for he would have learned to change one thing into another. Pleased with his work, his master placed a sack of coins at his feet and told him to take as much as he was worth, and being a modest fellow and knowing how much he had to learn and the worth of what he was learning, he took only 1 coin. He worked for another year, improving and mastering the sword and the cup, armor, and fine things. He earned another coin, and then he decided to explore the world. As he walked away, a tiny mouse asked him for help, as he was so poor, and he gave him his coin. A little beetle then stopped him, and he gave the beetle his second to last coin. Then the coin his master had given him, a good fortune for his adventures, was finally given to a wee catfish who begged for help at a well. He came to the castle and gazed up, and saw the princess watching him, curiosity alighting her serious and beautiful face. So shocked was this young man that he slipped and fell, tumbling into the moat with its muddy banks. And rushing to his aid came a tiny mouse, a little beetle, and a funny catfish. And seeing him and the truth of his heart and the goodness he must have to treat the little one so, the corners of her lovely mouth twitched. And then she smiled, and then she gurgled, and then she shook, and the laughter, the joy of seeing the seeming folly of a good heart came tumbling out. Her eyes twinkled, and she begged her father to bring forth this man so she might learn more of her future husband, for her serious heart recognized his kindness. And then the blacksmith, who could create alchemy, now made the greatest change. He had created true happiness within the heart of one who was sad. When this card is drawn, you will know that a time of deep earnestness and gravity is leaving, and soon there will be joy, laughter, and breakthroughs. Optimism returns, and a sense of belief once again that there is worth in taking the time to be light-hearted. For a long time, life has felt flat and sad and endlessly serious, but suddenly the spring of mirth that is healing is bubbling again to the surface, and a sign of recovery is revealing itself. And when this is awakened, it is accidental, without artifice, and entirely unexpected. Just know that soon any sadness will lift, and life unexpectedly changes forever and for the better. Humor, mirth is sacred, laughter is healing, laughter breaks through sadness, depression or a time of grieving is ending. Forced laughter is not true happiness, kindness is always witnessed, you will find laughter very soon, your sadness will ease, a time of earnestness and heaviness will soon lift, a loving, honest partner with a kind heart will be yours. So, those of you who picked card number 2, you may have been going through, and again, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. That's just kind of how these cards are written, right? But that's not the whole message that's coming through here. You may have been going through a really serious time in your life. Maybe you lost someone really close to you to some sort of tragedy. Maybe you're in a relationship did end. Maybe for whatever reason, you find yourself not being able to smile or laugh as much anymore. And it's like, no matter what's good in your life, you've just been having such a hard time for so long counting your blessings. This week is the start of all that coming to an end. The universe is giving you great things. It's handing you all of your deepest desires, everything that you want, if you're willing to work hard for it. Remember the wishing card for the House of Night, right? That I pull a lot of the time in personal readings and in the live streams if you guys are in there. Even when you throw coins and make the wish into the well, the wish costs you that coin. So whatever you wish for, even when it's granted, remember there's always some kind of price to pay. Even if it's a small price, you know, like maybe cutting your work hours to spend time with, you know, your partner, whatever it is. So remember that no matter what, happiness, love, they're hard work. Those things are work. Being happy is work because you have to work to obtain the things that make you happy. And I think a lot of you, a depression is going to be lifting. I'm not a doctor. I'm not talking about clinical depression or meds or anything like that. But, you know, an overall depression, a feeling of gloom is going to be starting to lift this week. And I think a lot of you who chose this card are going to be getting some seriously really good news. I'm not sure. I'm getting money. Play a lottery ticket maybe with the number, you know, 4031 or something like that. And I would just say keep your head up, keep your chin up, because coming into the new year, 2022, for those of you who chose this, is going to be a really wonderful year. I hope it's a wonderful year for all of you, for all of us, but specifically those of you who picked this card, you have a lot of really good things coming in. But remember, even being happy, even being in love is work. But if you're really in love and you're really happy, it won't seem like it. It won't seem like you're working. I hope that makes sense. Those of you who chose card number 3, the 12 Dancing Princesses, Enchantment, card number 21. There was once upon a time a king who had 12 daughters, each one more beautiful than the other. They slept side by side in a great chamber, and every night when they were in their beds, the king locked the door to their chamber and bolted it. But every morning when he unlocked their door, he saw that their shoes were worn out from dancing. Within fairy tales, there are strict rules. Of course, when we first read this tale, we understand in the world of the story that the 12 dancing princesses are not doing what they ought to be. For they are princesses. Their job is well beyond dancing in enchanted realms, living a free and wild life in the forest. They are to be married advantageously. They are to breed more little princes and princesses. And they are to be wise, delightful, bountiful, and obedient. The 12 princesses of this tale are not any of those things. Instead, what they are is free. They are escaping the bonds of marriage over and over every night with the help of their magical shoes. Their father, frustrated and important, as all kings come to be, wants fresh blood for the kingdom and offers his daughters to any man who can discover where it is his daughters have vanished to each night. The punishment for failure is death, so the princesses leave behind their dancing nights a field of bodies, the unrealized promise of the young hunter. In time, of course, one comes who uses his wits as well as his courage, who has charm as well as health, and who finally solves the mystery and breaks the spell. This, of course, leads to the princesses doing as they, quote-unquote, should, putting away their dancing shoes and beginning their roles as princesses, mothers, and nurturers. This is a tale that in many ways sets up the princesses to look selfish, hedonistic, and irresponsible, and yet they are living their lives in an enchanted realm where their greatest joy is to just dance. They are living in the shadows of the night, and they are free, as so many women and quote-unquote princesses long to be. Free to dance, to speak, to learn, to be free, to travel, to dream, without becoming the wife and the mother. For them to give this up takes one who is worthy of them. And thus it is with this card. If you are contemplating giving up any of your dreams or indeed any of your freedom and taking up a great and irreversible responsibility, be sure that when you do so, the one for whom you sacrifice your dream self is thoroughly worthy. And if they are not, let them go. Let that dream of love die, metaphorically, as the young prince did. For it is not any child's duty to fulfill the dreams and wishes of the parent. The king desires for his daughters to obey, but until they meet one who is worthy, they cannot. The spell of freedom of the dance of the soul is too powerful. And in fact, it can never truly be given up. It is simply that at times we find one with whom we wish to dance during the day, as well as in our dreams at night. Meanings: enchantment, deceit, secrecy. A time of freedom is coming to an end. Enjoying the last moments of a time of excitement and unusual activity. You will take up new responsibilities. A move from group activities to close, loving partners. You have been socializing to the exclusion of some important activities. Transformation from youth to maturity. Those of you who chose card number 3, a huge transformation is coming in for you. This is what I'm getting from Spirit and the universe right now. A lot of you may be feeling like you've gotten some freedoms taken away from you already and are longing to get them back. But before you start that, think this week, at what cost? What are you willing to give up to get those freedoms back? Are we talking about an addiction, a habit, a hang-up that you're longing to go back to? Okay, for some of you, that may be the case. Think about everything you're going to give up. For others of you, okay, you are the king wanting to know where your princess or prince has been going at night or what they've been doing. You feel as though someone you love, again, doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, is keeping something from you. And guess what? They are. Okay? Somebody very close to you that you trust is keeping a secret from you. I don't think it's anything detrimental. It's not coming in as anything life-shattering, but the fact that they're keeping it from you, it has to do with their own shame about whatever it is. Know that you know it is going to come to light, not this week. This week, just keep in mind all of your blessings. Again, another card of counting your blessings. I guess that's the theme of the week. And remembering why you gave certain things and certain people up in the first place. Does that make sense? That to keep in mind how far you've come. Do not make any rash decisions, okay? If you're thinking about quitting your job, don't just quit until you have something better to fall back on. This week may be a hard week for you guys emotionally. You may be feeling physically drawn and down. Your emotions may be running high. Maybe your patience is a little shaky where you're not as patient as you normally would be. This is going to pass after this week. You're just going through a lot spiritually. The universe recommends some meditation, sitting in the moonlight, burning incense, maybe doing some candle magic, right? Whatever works for you to relax you and calm you down. Do not make, even though the retrograde is over, do not make any rash decisions. Do not make any major purchases. Do not make any major decisions. Do not sign any contracts. I would avoid that until the 1st for everybody, but especially those of you who chose this card right here. Okay, and I'm doing something a little different this week. I am going to be pulling the 4th card for those of you who couldn't decide on a card. I am going to be pulling the 4th card from the Wisdom of the House of Night Oracle. I just thought we'd have a little fun with it this week. I'm having trouble talking. Whoop. And I guess that's going to be the card. So for those of you who could not choose card 1, 2, or 3, you got the High Priestess of Air, card number 6 from the Wisdom of the House of Night deck. And let's see what she has to say. You have drawn the symbol of the Vampire High Priestess of Air, the goddess of rational thought. Logical thinking, reason, and using your mind to consider the next right action are the qualities encouraged by my Vampire High Priestess of Air. Now is the time to think before you act. You are blessed with a wondrous mind and imagination. Your ability to communicate is enhanced when you meet the High Priestess of Air. This is the moment to have reasonable conversations and make calculated decisions. So again, no rush to judgment this week. No rush to making fast decisions. This week is the time of, just like those of you who picked card number 3, to really sit and think about what it is that you really want, how you're going to go about getting it. It is not a week of action. It's a week of thought. And a lot of us, the High Priestess of Air especially, Air is coming up where the sun's in Libra, okay? So a lot of us are getting our intuition back. A lot of us, those blockages in our head and our intuition are going to be cleared for the most part because Mercury is coming out of retrograde, right? So as of Tuesday, we should all be pretty much getting back on point with that. And the universe is saying connect with that this week. Make sure you check in with your intuition before you say something you're going to regret, make a choice you're going to regret, or really screw yourself over. Also, you could be dealing, I'm getting Aquarius from this card, could be Libra or Gemini. That could be your energy. Be careful. Don't say anything you don't mean. Guys, I really hope this helped. Let me know if you like the way I did this week. There were a few edits in the beginning because my phone was dying. RJ kept coming in, so I don't like to edit these videos except to get, you know, the beginning and the end on point. But so sorry about that. In the description box, you'll find PayPal, Patreon, and Amazon wishlist. And that's about it, guys. I love you. Thank you, everyone who supports me on a daily basis by liking my videos, subscribing to my channel, sharing my videos, leaving me beautiful comments, sending me emails. Okay? If you would like a personal reading for me for free, please email me at GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com. And as long as you have the patience with me, it might take me a week. It might take me 2. Usually doesn't take me longer than that. Hit me up with your name, your first name, and your birth date. All right. I love you guys. Have an amazing, wonderful, wonderful week. I do have comments off for these videos because a lot of people get upset for some reason that I do them. I don't know, guys. Have your best day. Have your best night. Have your best week. Be kind to each other. It doesn't cost anything. Be kind to yourself. Smile at a stranger. Always go in grace. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.